This is our flash forward video for Module 8, Procedures and Project Templates. So we're going to move quickly here, and you can watch the other videos or read them if you like to read videos to follow up. We're going to talk about procedures first. There's a procedure super tag in Tana for Tasks core, but you don't use it by itself. You extend it into other super tags to create those procedures. Let's say I had a procedure to set up a Zoom call. So let's say set up Zoom call is my procedure. I set that as a super tag, configure the tag, move that here so you can see that better, and I extend the procedure super tag into that. Inside this schema over here, inside the template for the configuration of setup Zoom call, I'll say prepare to run a meeting, not meeting on Zoom. And then let's say, open Zoom, set up breakouts, whatever. You can add whatever you want to this. Command enter, turn them into checks. What happens then is every time I need to set up a Zoom call, it comes set up already with a set of checks available. And when I check them here, I'll move this up so you can see it. When I check them here, it doesn't affect them back in the default. And if I happen to run a new, set up Zoom call, that checklist is refreshed again. So I have a new one. I use procedures all over my productivity system, and this is a very smooth and easy way to do it. What's particularly fun is if you have, like, say, a weekly meeting that you regularly do, and it is associated with having some steps of a checklist to set it up. Then you can actually create that weekly meeting as a super tag and extend both meeting and procedure into it. So let's just say weekly group meeting. I'll call it that just for the sake of simplicity. Right click it, configure, and now in here, we're not only going to extend procedure, we're also going to extend meeting. So extend meeting and then click extend again and choose procedure. And we'll go ahead and add procedure purpose, which is actually useful because I have a query, this organizing procedures and project templates is relying on there being a purpose in order to show that for you. So let's say this is, tasks or the checks, checklist to prep for weekly meeting or whatever, you call it whatever you want. And then we'll say, send email reminder 10 mins before, and then we'll say set the agenda. These might actually be better suited for like a project, but we'll pretend that these are things you do in one quick setting for the sake of the demo, and we'll call that all good. And then I'll hit these and turn command enter to turn it into check boxes. And you'll have now, we can set this and say, well, it's a meeting that's always going to be a conversation, and it's always going to be with Joe Smith. And because we've set this meeting up just like I did in the other one, in the meeting one video at the end of the last module, I can say, hey, you know what? I want to use the same structure as the meeting super tag. Sorry, I mean to right click that for my build title from fields. So I can come over here and I can grab that, copy that, paste it here, and I now have a meeting that's going to be set up, and it's also going to allow me to schedule on, set it on the date here, but it's going to include the checklist of the things that I need to do. So you can extend as many super tags as you want into a super tag. So a meeting that also needs to have a checklist is very easy to create. We can also, just as we can extend multiple super tags into a super tag, we can also add more than one super tag to a given node, which means that I can have a procedure that comes to me via recurring tasks, so I don't forget to do it. So that if I, need to, maybe every day I have a Zoom call early in the morning. It's maybe not a perfect example, but at least it'll show the logistics of it here. So I'll say set up 8 a.m. Zoom call. And if I tag that as a recurring task and as a setup Zoom call, once I set up that recurring task, I can say, okay, this needs to happen. The first time we'll do it will be tomorrow, and it needs to happen every one day. Come set up to repeat from completed. So our recurring task is now set up, and every time it arrives to us, we're going to have these checks here ready to go. To show you how that works, because recurring tasks, we're never going to be working with the original. We'll be working with references. Recurring task is here, and we'll show you what it's like here to work with that. So I'll copy it and paste it here. Now that's a reference. And so that we're now, this is work happening on a given day. I'll give you a quick demo of this. I'm opening this task on the right side of the screen. This is the original, so you can see what happens here with it. Look at the checklist down here. That's where I want you to see. So I'm setting up this Zoom call. It's the day of, I check this here, open Zoom, set up breakouts. Like, oh, those are checking over here as well. How's that going to work next time I do the recurring task? It's going to work because once I complete this, it clears out the checks on the original. So the next time I do it, I'll once again have a clean checklist. So that's a procedure being delivered by a recurring task. And then the last thing, well, other than showing you the organizing procedures and project templates, the last feature here that I want to show you is what I call a date-driven project template with pre-scheduled tasks. So I could set up and say, set up a project. Let's say one that I use if I need to hire a sub for myself at church. I can set up the tasks that are associated with hiring a sub, base that off of a given date, and then be able to just schedule all the tasks associated with it based on that date. So first thing I do is I extend a project template. And when I extend project template, I now have a set of defaults here that I can preset. My template purpose is to hire a substitute pianist for a set of masses at church. Okay, and I can also, include an outcome or whatever if I want in the default. But I don't mess with the reference date here. But under these scheduled tasks here, I'll create the tasks I need to do. Hire the sub, send them the music, whatever. We'll just say it's those two things. Actually, I'll add one more. Remind Ruth to pay them. Okay, and now all of these, as you can see, come with day offsets. They're not tasks yet. So I can say, well, I need to do this, we'll say 4 weeks before, so 28 days before. I need to send them the music, let's say about 10 days before. That's enough time to practice it. So 10 days prior, and remind Ruth to play them. I would actually do this a week before, but just for the sake of showing that we can do things in the future as well, I'll say 3 days in the future after they've subbed, I'll remind Ruth to pay them. So, and I don't mess with anything more over here. That's what stays in the default. So that when I come over here to hire the sub, and I would actually build title from fields here, but in the interest of time, I won't do that. When I come over here to do this, all I have to do is set the date for which they're subbing. So let's say this person is subbing on October 22nd, and then I click this button, and all of these become tasks relative to October 22nd. So you can see that this one is scheduled on the 24th, which is the 4 weeks before of September there. This is 10 days before the 22nd, and this is 3 days after the 22nd. And just like any project, you can open those up in the project dashboard and see them on the calendar. There's the 24th one. There's the two that are in October, and move them around if you want to. Very smooth, very simple, and you can keep track of all your procedures and all your templates right here in this dashboard. As long as you gave them a procedure purpose, you can see others I used in demos here, they will show up correctly in here. So that's our flash forward through our procedures and project templates.